Welcome to Winnebago Wednesday. Today's episode is sponsored by Parlor Games Photo, and we'll talk about them a little bit more in a bit. So thank you very much, Parlor Games Photo. But this has been a really, really great week. Two historical music things have happened this week. The first one, very interesting, to me anyway, but I found my old CD, the first CD that my band had ever released. It was the Silvertooth band. It was called A Maple Leaf Quartet, which is fitting because we're in Canada, but that was so named because Mark, the singer, was our Canadian, and he did a great job, and he wrote like half of our songs, but it was really great having him. So it was Mark and me, and Mark Veenstra, me, Ryan Barnes, John Musselman, Trent Lenz, and Scott Larios on the bass. So we had such a good time with that. But our first CD had its tracks which may or may not have been any good. But what we always did, from the website to the MySpace page, if you remember that, to the CD itself, was we had bonus features and bonus tracks and hidden things everywhere, because at that time I was watching Lost and I love the idea of just hidden stuff everywhere, and so we really built that into it. So with that being said, I found a bonus track on that disc that I completely forgot about. It was buried because you have the last track and you have 30 minutes of nothing, and then you have extra songs on the end because that's fun. So this bonus track was a song written by a good friend of mine, Jamin Brazil. Brazil, excuse me, I know better than that. It's written by my good friend Jamin years and years ago, and we started playing that song just for fun, and we had turned it into a reggae song, and you actually hear that transformation on this bonus track, because a lot of times we would just hit record, play our song, and then we'd just keep going and messing around because we had fun. Anyway, that all being said, that was my little reattachment with history, which is fun. The other reattachment with history was 10-11 years ago or so. 10 years ago, that's funny in a second, but 10 years ago, I moved to Atlanta, and the very first friend that I made, and he was a really great guy, Chad. He's actually been doing really well musically, and he's on tour with a band called 10 Years right now, which is awesome. Their first Canadian tour, but he just started playing with them, and he got to one of his stops was in Abbotsford, not too far from where I am, and so I drove out and I got to reconnect with him, and it was so great seeing Chad. Like I said, he was my first friend in Atlanta, and probably the most influential in me enjoying my time there, and so it was great connecting with him. And make sure you check out their music too. If you haven't heard of 10 Years band, go ahead and get on that gravy train right now. But that's funny because it was 10 years ago that I met him, and he's in a band called 10 Years. And anyway, so we have a great episode today. We have John Welsh, the amazing John Welsh, and you're going to see him in just a sec. So stick around and enjoy the show.
This next song is called Someone. Well, someone once told me that there was a place I could go on my own. Someone once told me that there was a place that they say feels like home. I said, oh, I'll make it there, I'll make it on my own. If there's one thing I can know for sure, through the cold winds and dark winds and nights, I just need a place to call my home. Well, one day I went up a mountain and met an ancient man wise in his years. I asked him the secrets to get through this life. I said, son, sit down, I'll calm all your fears. He said, oh, you'll make it, son.
Welcome back to Winnebago Wednesday. I am your host, as always, Ryan Barnes, and with me on this very, very special Wednesday is John Welsh. Hello, John.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Good, good. The first thing I have to point out is your hair. Now, I know last time I saw you had the haircut, but before that you had this much longer hair, which I guess was part of your trademark, because I noticed on Facebook and even comments around where we were that everyone was talking about your hair. So, and that's a point of interest to me because I've been bald for the last 10 years. I just recently started growing my hair again.
Okay.
So tell me what was this change, and let's talk about your hair, because you got a nice looking hair.
Well, I've had pretty much long hair. I don't know, for the last since I was 20 on and off, right?
Okay.
So for most of my adult life, I've had long hair, and I've had short hair a lot of on and off, but I always had glasses when I had short hair.
Okay.
So the combo of the short hair and the glasses and the style of haircut I had was what I would describe as dorky.
Okay.
So I grew the hair out.
All right.
And I always liked having longer hair because I just kind of like a lot of like hippie sort of movement and 70s stuff.
Sure,
And I love
sure.
that kind of counterculture stuff, and I kind of identify more with that kind of culture. So I just, felt pretty natural. And but I had it for so long, and I had one bad picture at an ugly sweater Christmas party in December, and the long hair and the style I had just looked so horrible. I'm like, I kind of thought about cutting it, but I'm like, I'm going to do it. So I didn't really tell anyone. I told one girl at work, and yeah, it was a bit of a shock to a lot of people, but generally the response has been positive.
Yeah. You actually look younger because of it too. So that works. I don't know how old you are, but the contrast of, again, just seeing you before with the longer hair to, yeah, you definitely have shaved a couple of years off too, which is nice. So
It's
for
nice
me,
when you can cheat age like that.
yeah. For me, I went from having hair all my life to suddenly bald because one day I ran out of shampoo. And I was like, what am I going to do? I'll just shave it. And then I liked it. And so I kept it for about 10 years. So.
Really? Just a split decision?
Yeah, I am a little impulsive from time to time. So. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I based my haircut on that one picture. So
Sure.
that
Yeah.
was an
Exactly.
impulse too.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Well, hey, let's talk about why you're here on Winnebago Wednesday, Season 2 Winnebago Radio, which is the best. So let's talk about your music. So you play, I've heard you play at Sisters a couple times, and I know you play in other bands, but I don't know much about them, and some of the people out there in Winnebago Wednesday land don't know anything about your music. So let's change all of that. Where did your music start from? What day did you say, hey, I'm going to pick up the guitar and do this?
When I was 16 years old, my parents put me in every possible thing except for music.
Okay.
So they put me in speed skating when I was 5. I just lay on the ice and did snow angels, so that was
Sure,
an expensive experiment for my parents. They put me in soccer. I just got kind of tired and bored. They put me in judo. Put me in all these different things, and then one day I picked up my dad's guitar when I was 16, and I just loved the feeling I had when I strummed those chords.
Okay.
And I thought, wow, I can actually play songs that I've heard,
Mhm.
and my voice was absolutely horrific, but I could play the songs.
Okay, excellent. So when you were 16, so you started playing and you had you had this knack for it. So I'm sure you Tom Petty'd it and started with 3 chords and did everything you could from that. So what style enthralled you the most as you started? Where your roots come from as far as what you were listening to and decided you wanted to emulate, I guess?
Well, the roots, I guess you don't hear a lot of it in the music I play now, but I originally got hooked on music when my parents are from England. I was going to high school there. I was like 15 years old, pretty, shapeable mind, and I was listening to Oasis really kind of like drew me in, but then I found out that the Oasis had been influenced by the Beatles, so I got into the Beatles. And then I also was listening to like Blur and stuff like that, some of the Britpop stuff, and I always loved that sort of sing-along chorus, clear lyrics, and just the feeling for me, music was about the feeling you got when you heard a song.
Okay. Now, you're talking about sing-along music. So I've listened to you a couple of times, and there are these Spanish songs that you sing that I grew up in California, so I have a fairly decent understanding of Spanish, but Spanish music is very different than the Spanish language. The poetry, the colloquialisms, they're different. And so I sing along with choruses of some of your songs that I know in Spanish, but I have no idea what I'm saying because it's different. So,
but you like the feeling.
I love it. I absolutely love the feeling. So you were talking a little bit before we started recording about singing in both in English and Spanish, and it's something very, very unique and one of the many things that draws people to you and to your music. So let's talk a little bit about that. How did that even come into play? From when I came up here to Canada, I found that my Spanish was completely worthless. So you're up here in BC, and you can't even find a burrito to save your life. So how did you end up speaking and singing in Spanish up here?
Oh, wow. Like I mentioned, my parents are immigrants to Canada, lived near the Quebec border in Ontario, so I was exposed to French at a very young age. So French and all those sounds that comes from that. And when I was 17, I went down to Mexico on a school trip, and I just fell in love with the culture and the atmosphere and just the feeling of being there and the sound of the language. And even though I was only there for a week, I just tried to speak as much. I loved the people, and I realized that language was this way of opening a door to a whole different world, basically. Sure. And so I realized that was like you could have this portal and you could understand a whole different group of people, the way they think, the way they see the world, and that was fascinating to me. So I did that. Then when I went to Japan to teach English, and then I got hooked on the travel bug, and then I decided to do a university program in Guatemala and really work to become fluent in Spanish.
Wow, that's excellent. That's excellent. How long did that take you to become fluent in Spanish?
I was pretty close to fluent. Like I said, I had a pretty strong background in French, so I picked up the grammar and the words. I was pretty close to fluent after about 6 months. Okay. And then when I came back to Canada, the key was that I actually worked somewhere where a lot of the ladies that worked in the household, it was a group home, were actually from Central America and Mexico. So I was doing most of my work days speaking Spanish, even though I was in Canada.
That's so helpful too. Yeah. Excellent.
It just got ingrained, and
Okay. That's really interesting. It's not something that you find up here. Actually, a lot of the stories that you're saying are not very common to people that I've met up here, or even in Washington or California for that matter. So actually, in California, we all speak some Spanish, but usually it's off the menu.
Right. That's very helpful there.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So. So let's talk a little bit about your music. Now we've heard one song already, and we're going to hear a couple more from you. So when I know that everybody that's watching this has already fallen in love with your music, and they're going to continue to do that. So where would people find you online, or the Tower Record Store, or they say John Welsh? Oh my gosh, I cannot get enough of him. Where can I get more of that?
Right. Well, you can. First thing I usually direct people to is to go to YouTube, and you can type in John Welsh Band, John Welsh Los Valientes, whatever. You'll find us somehow there. check out our Sayalita video, On the Road video. That kind of gives you an idea of the vibe of the band and the sound.
Yeah.
And then anywhere, Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you buy music or stream music, the album, the full-length album and the EP are both available there.
Excellent. So, so I know you're at Sisto's, once a month or so, hosting
right.
there. So Sisto's Pub in Mission is one of the coolest vibes ever. A great group of extremely talented musicians, and John is hosting with Jenny Bice once a month. So if you check out Sisto's Facebook page, there's always information on that. But as far as where else you're going to be, does your website have an event calendar or?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're on bands in town and all that stuff. So I have my main band, John Welsh and Los Valientes. We're actually going to be doing stuff more in the interior, but we'll do some kind of full band show locally. And then I've got solo stuff with myself, and then Courage, El Valiente is his nickname in Spanish.
Nice.
And we've got some duo stuff coming up this Friday actually on Sasquatch Mountain, and then we'll be in different places around the valley.
Excellent. Well, hey, thank you so much for being on the show. Now we're going to listen to a little bit more of your music and expose the greater, wider Winnebago Wednesday fan world to John Welsh. So thank you very much. And
This next song's called Me Hace Sentir, which literally means it makes me feel. It's about being a Canadian going down to Mexico. Las palmeras, música ranchera, gente amigable, me siento amable. La cerveza, tacos de cabeza, sota fuerte, ya llegó mi suerte. Me hace sentir bien este lugar. Vengo de Canadá para escapar el frío y porque el pueblo está bien chido. De Puebla a Vallarta, Chiapas, Veracruz, la música jarocha me quita los blues. Me hace sentir bien este lugar. Me hace sentir bien, no puedo negar. Me quedo aquí por la playa y la mar. Vengo aquí a México de Canadá. Me quedo aquí por la playa y la mar. Me hace sentir bien este lugar. Fui en autobús de DF a Chiapas, pero en Jalapa ya perdí el mapa. La gente verdadera, la gente humilde, pasando por la sierra, olor de viento dulce, por las carreteras estrechas, tortuosas, bajo solo por la tierra de los dioses. Tanta belleza escondida muchos años, fuera del turismo y de los americanos. Me hace sentir bien este lugar. Vámonos. Me hace sentir bien, no puedo negar. Me quedo aquí por la playa y la mar. Vengo aquí a México de Canadá. Me quedo aquí por la playa y la mar. Me hace sentir bien ese lugar. Viajo solo conociendo la gente, hablando su lengua español solamente. En las caras de los niños jugando con los pollos. Oye, güey, te digo, el lugar es otro río. En la discoteca me quedé impresionado, bailando hasta la mañana sin ponernos cansados. Y después salimos a comer de los tacos. Vuelvo a casa para dormir un buen rato. Me hace sentir bien ese lugar. Me hace sentir bien, no puedo negar. Me quedo aquí por la playa y la mar. Vengo aquí a México de Canadá. Me quedo aquí por la playa y la mar. Me hace sentir bien ese lugar. Las palmeras, música ranchera, gente amigable, me siento amable. La cerveza, tacos de cabeza, soy tan fuerte, ya llegó mi suerte. Me hace sentir bien ese lugar. Me hace sentir bien ese lugar. Me hace sentir bien este lugar.
Thank you for watching Winnebago Wednesday. Our goal, as we've been doing, is to introduce new talent to the greater world by letting you hear some of their amazing music and getting to know a little bit about the artists behind the music. We do this out of passion because we I've been there. I've been that artist trying to get my name out there, and we absolutely love the music that we bring in and the artists that we bring in. So what we would like to ask for is if you are interested in sponsoring an episode of Winnebago Wednesday. We would love to have you bring one of these artists out and be responsible for that, and we'll definitely thank you and put your name out there, and you can be associated with the new talent such as what you've seen today being put out to the greater world. So we would love your sponsorship, we would love your help, and these artists would love to have you be a part of kickstarting their career. Thank you very much.
This last song is called the Newfoundland Song. I wrote this one in St. John's, Newfoundland. The crowd here can sing along if you like. She found a piece of fabric down at BP Boutique and made herself a fine shirt out of a floral sheet. And it matched her kitchen cupboards, orange, white, and green. She wore across the country the finest shirt you've ever seen. Hey! Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Well, I met her at a party in the town of Old St. John's. She was playing fiddle to some old sailor songs. I picked up my guitar and I began to sing along. We sat there drinking all night until the break of dawn. Hey! Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. We went out to Turner's Tavern down on Water Street, and those Newfoundlanders made me down a triple shot of Screech. But if you're ever in trouble, they'll be there to lend a hand in that windy, foggy place where the ocean meets the land. Hey! Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. We stumbled through the old town under the summer stars, down winding cobble streets and past the noisy bars. We went out to the lighthouse along the sand and stones and sang this song out to the sea to call the sailors home. Hey! Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. She found a piece of fabric down at BP Boutique and made herself a fine shirt out of a floral sheet. And it matched the kitchen cupboards, orange, white, and green. She wore across the country the finest shirt you've ever seen. Hey! Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Today's episode is brought to you not by the letter Q, but by Parlor Games Photo. Parlor Games Photo is an amazing photo booth company that services the Lower Mainland, Fraser Valley, and the Okanagan, and they do a great job. They bring out their custom photo booth that they built. They set up props that are designed for your event, and they do the prints right on the spot there. So your guests have a great time, everyone's having fun, and the great thing about it is their prices are amazing and reasonable and wonderful. Their staff is wonderful. Everything about them is great. So please check out Parlor Games Photo for your next birthday party, graduation, funeral, zucchini casserole, whatever this momentous event is that you want to invite people over for. Give them a call.
All right, this is called Sing a Little Song. It's about playing on the streets of Barcelona. Well, I've been here singing this song about you. I've been here singing this song for you. Standing here with my guitar, playing on the street corner. I've been here singing this song for you. Why don't you stop a while in the sunshine? We can get drunk on Spanish wine. Then we'll play all night for the people passing by. Let me hear you sing it out for me. I said, hey, you there, walk playing on the streets of Barcelona. We get tired, we'll take the metro home. Courage plays on his cajon, jamming to some Latin song. Police and the locals looking on. Why don't you stop a while in the sunshine? We can get drunk on Spanish wine. Then we'll play all night for the people passing by. Let me hear you sing it out for me. I said, hey, you there, walking down the street, sing a little song for me, sing a little song for me. I said, hey, you there, in the middle of the street, give a little smile for me, give a little smile for me. Oh, na na, oh, na na, oh, na na, oh, na na, oh. Oh, na na, oh, na na, oh, na na, oh, na na, oh. The dawn is breaking, town is waking up. Warm my hands on my coffee cup. Open up my guitar case, people starting out the day. Dawn is breaking, town is waking up. Why don't you stop a while in the sunshine? Let me hear you sing it out for me. I said, hey, you there, walking down the street, sing a little song for me, sing a little song for me. I said, hey, you there, in the middle of the street, give a little smile for me, give a little smile for me. I said, hey, you there, walking down the street, sing a little song for me, sing a little song for me. I said, hey, you there, in the middle of the street, give a little smile for me, give a little smile for me. Oh, na na, oh, na na, oh, na na, oh, na na, oh. Oh, na na, oh, na na, oh, na na, oh, na na, oh. Oh, na na, oh, na na, oh, na na, oh, na na, oh. Oh, na na, oh, na na, oh, na na, oh, na na, oh.
Thank you for watching the episode today. Please be sure to click subscribe, like, leave some comments about what you enjoyed about the show or what you would like to see Winnebago Wednesday do. Those comments, those likes, those shares, that's what keeps us going. And as we have new rules and some things in YouTube that have affected us, our stats have reset. And so we're trying to get back to that level. So the only way to do that is by your help. So thank you for watching, and then next week, please look forward to next week because we have the amazing voice of Megan Conway, which you're going to absolutely love. Thank you very much. Namaste. See you next week.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay.